vocational education and training. FAO has called on all educational experts, stakeholders and leaders in Africa to collaborate.
Africa in general as a continent remarkably done well over the years. If you look at where we were a couple of decades ago and now, but there's still room for improvement. What we have realized that in some member states in Africa, they are extremely doing well, and as a result can get their citizens, their youth ready for the demands of the job market globally. But then you have the majority of African member states still struggling to really produce the ready youth for employment, not only for the continent, but also for at the global levels.
Recapping the top story, the Madlanga Commission, which is set to investigate criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system, has been postponed indefinitely. I'm Ondela Bana for SFM News Headlines at 1:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
I am Baba Lobisha, the Executive Mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality. The Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality has recently adopted a 21.6 billion budget for the 2025-2026 financial year. This budget, shaped by extensive public participation, prioritizes critical needs such as electricity, sanitation, roads, and water infrastructure in the fight against crime. As part of implementation of this budget, strict measures have been introduced to fast-track spending, improve accountability, and ensure that every cent delivers real impact. This is more than just a budget. It's a commitment to community-driven service delivery that will not only improve our lives, but create enabling environment for investment that will grow economy and create jobs. Together, we make our municipality work.
This Women's Month, SAFM stands with the women shaping South Africa's future. Under the theme, Building Resilient Economies for All, we honor the pioneers, the problem solvers, and the everyday heroes driving change. Stay tuned as SAFM brings you powerful stories and meaningful conversations that move us. SAFM, celebrating women, celebrating progress. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, the 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC.
So have you discovered the TV license WhatsApp yet? Well, we see you binging reruns, living for the drama, and loving the SABC Plus sports replays. Now, paying your TV license fits the vibe. Simply SMS hi on WhatsApp to 077 60 69 060. Get your balance, make a payment, or set up a debit order all in one chat. There's no queues, no please hold, just convenience that feels like it should have been here all along, because every screen in South Africa is a stage and yours is lit. So why wait? Send hi on WhatsApp to 077 60 69 060 and get your TV license sorted today. Hashtag your screen, your story.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
No, 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 no. Oh, yeah. I'm in chains, you're in chains too. Our uniforms and you are uniforms too. I'm a prisoner. You're a prisoner too, Mr. Jailer. Oh, I have fears, you have fears too. I'll die, but you said will die too. Life is beautiful, don't you think so too, Mr. Jailer? I'm talking to you, jailer. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him is without sin be the first to cast a stone, Mr. Jailer. Mr. Jailer, man, you suppress all my strategies. You oppress every part of me. What you don't know, you're a victim too, Mr. Jailer. Oh, you don't care about my point of view. If I die, another will work for you. So you treat me like a modern slave, Mr. Jailer. I'm talking to you, jailer. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him who is without sin be the first to cast a stone, Mr. Jailer. Mr. Jailer, man. You see, if you walking in the marketplace, don't throw stones. Even if you do, you just might hit one of your own. Life is not about your policies all the time. So you better rearrange your philosophies and be good to your fellow man. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him who is without sin be the first to cast a stone, Mr. Jailer. Oh, I'm talking to you, jailer. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him who is without sin be the first to cast a stone, Mr. Jailer. Mr. Jailer. I am a baby say, I wanna be president. I want your money from my government. What he don't know, what he won't know, what he can know. Jailer, jailer. Oh, be good, oh, be good, oh, be good, oh. Somebody be good, oh, be good, oh, be good. Oh, be good, oh, be good, oh, be good, oh.
It is Asher coming through with Jailer is the name of this particular one. A beautiful song from the Nigerian born singer. And I think this one came from her self-titled album, Asher, which came out in 2007, if I'm not mistaken. She's been in the country actually twice. She's performed twice in the country. Haven't been here in a number of years, in fact. Hopefully she'll make a return back again one of these days. It would be lovely. She actually has a repertoire that can lend itself to jazz. And maybe whilst we have the ear of the folks at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, we should actually whisper that she should be on the lineup next year, because the first time I ever saw her perform here, she came to the Soweto Wine and Champagne Festival. I don't know if that's still going. I think COVID just shut down a lot of things. And her performance was very jazzy, very sort of impro jazzy, beautiful vibes. Yeah, we'll whisper in the ears of the people of the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. By the way, remember that we're giving away those tickets. If you want to be a part of the experience, you can certainly join us come that weekend of the 26th of September. All you have to do is SMS SAFM followed by your name to 41391. That's our SMS line. SMSs cost the standard R1.50 per SMS. And you have until the 31st of August. So you have until this weekend to get those entries in, and then by next week we'll start making those calls to give away those tickets. You definitely want to ensure that you enter that competition. It's just gone 1:15. We are going to take a quick pause. When we come back, Dr. Judy is in the building. We're talking Skin Deep with the good doctor, and today it really is the doctors in the house. So if you have a skin question, a skin query, perhaps you have a skin condition that's been lingering, or you've been trying certain skincare products and you're not seeing the difference with your skin, and you want to get some advice, or maybe you diagnosed with something and you're on some treatment and it's affecting your skin in an adverse way and you're starting to notice changes. Today, it's all about those conversations. So she's here. You can certainly give us a shout on 086 000 2032 or 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line if you want to send through a WhatsApp voice note.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Amakosi have a different strategy. They want to collect maximum points in the early days of the season. While reigning champions Masandawana want to sing their happy song, Double Yellow. This is the Betway Premiership. Catch Mzansi's Clash of Giants, Kaizer Chiefs versus Mamelodi Sundowns, this Wednesday, 27 August at 6:30 p.m. live on SABC3 and SABC Plus. Then on SABC radio stations at 7:30. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
From the brilliant buzz of Joburg to the beautiful beaches of the Eastern Cape, Fly Safair has you covered. That's right, from 1st November, we'll be flying from Lanseria Airport to both East London and PE, just in time for the holiday rush. Tickets are on sale now from only 770 Rand. So whether it's for work or play, plan your Eastern Cape escape from Lanseria or vice versa. Book now at flysafair.co.za. Fly Safair, for the love of fly. T's and C's apply.
I mean, imagine it. Imagine 76 million randals. Well, get ready to Panda Push a Play, the Powerball and Powerball Plus for 76 million rands in total estimated jackpots today. That is right. You can play the Powerball for an estimated 31 million and Powerball Plus for an estimated 45 million rands today. Buy your tickets now in store or via the national lottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Push a Play. Players must be 18 years or older and play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Bridget Masinga is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
The good doctor is in the house. Dr. Judy Pretorius is here. She is a biomedical scientist and product development specialist. It is Skin Deep, happens every other Tuesday of the month with the doctor. And today we're opening our lines to you. If you have a skin-related question, you're more than welcome to field through your question or your query. 086 000 2032 is our in-studio number. 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good, and I will be honest with you, when you said open line, you know the first thing that came to my mind, we're showing more flesh, it's warmer, stretch marks. Have we ever spoken about stretch marks?
No, we've never actually. And a lot of women, we're very conscious about that.
You know, and what we do during winter, we eat a little bit more.
Yes.
We did stretch. And now we're dealing with the stretch marks, and if your stretch marks has some form of a color to it, like a darkish purplish color, then please do not worry. If you keep it moist and hydrated, the stretch marks will actually go away this summer.
Oh, really? So, okay, let's talk about that, because are there different stages of stretch marks? Because I know some people talk about their stretch marks being silvery. And when do you intervene in order to reverse the stretch mark?
Okay, so let's see who can get stretch marks. Literally everybody, but an occurrence typically with teenage girls, they can get stretch marks on their breasts, even with breast augmentation surgery. Men who goes for bodybuilding, they get stretch marks on the arms. And then, of course, when we gain weight, we lose weight, we have the stretch marks. And pregnancy is one of the first things, that comes to mind is like the elasticity and the stretchiness. Because of the pregnancy and the abdomen that has to stretch, we get stretch marks. The concern is that if the skin remains dry, then unfortunately stretch marks can get worse. And if you absolutely do nothing to it and it loses its color, like you said, it's not that silvery color, it's not that brownish or purplish color. If it loses its color completely and it kind of blends in a little with the complexion with your skin, then it's too late. But if it still has color and you now introduce moisturizers and even tissue oils and so forth, and you occlude the skin every single day, it will go away.
Okay. Yeah. Now, melanated skins, right? The stretch marks tend to get like dark or silvery, and then they get like on my skin, for instance, it would be lighter. So I'd have like zebra lighter stretches.
Yes.
At that light point, it's far too gone then.
It's when it gets light like that, it's by far gone. And it's not to say that there's not any remedial actions for individuals who have that old type of lighter stretch marks. It just now means that you have to call in professional help, like microneedling, or we call it FSR. Basically what it is microneedling with hot needles, and even some fine injections like a platelet-rich plasma injected into the skin, but then it becomes expensive, and now you have to go for professional treatments. So prevention in this particular case is better than the cure.
It's better than the cure. All right. And there's people who do things like Carboxy. I tried Carboxy once. Is it the oxygen injected into the stretch marks?
It's like a CO2, and then immediately when it's injected, it creates lots of oxygen and it increases circulation. But these days there's a whole menu of professional treatments that you can go for. It's actually very overwhelming. But Carboxy, FSR, G5, intensive needling, pressotherapy techniques. Yes, the list is so long.
It really is a long list. Now, we spoke a little bit about this when earlier on, before I went on maternity leave, we kind of spoke round about it since we didn't tell anyone I was pregnant. But just to reiterate, for pregnant women whose skins are literally stretching to the max right now, before we leave the stretch mark situation, what should they be using right now? They must be greased up.
You know what? I'm going to start by just sharing my own situation, my own scenario. So I was pregnant with twins. And I don't know whether I'm allowed to say this, but I had a nickname called Oros. So you can kind of make your own connection to this. But I was as big as a whale. It was so bad that even when I got into my car, I actually had to move my car seat so far back that my feet didn't even touch the pedals, but my tummy bumped it up against the steering wheel. That's how big I was, with moisture retention and so forth. And people don't believe me, but I don't have one single stretch mark. I just fell into a disciplined program where I physically, every day after bathing or showering, ensured that I applied like a tissue oil, like a maternal tissue oil, and a moisturizer, that I retained the moisture content into my skin, because people don't know this. But during cooler weather conditions and when you are pregnant, you can lose up to 300 to 400 milliliters of water per day through your skin, and they call it a transepidermal water loss.
Okay.
And imagine this now, the moisture of your skin gets lost, and the collagen fibers that's in the middle layer, the dermis of your skin, helps you to stretch, helps you with the elasticity and so on. And if you now start losing moisture through the barrier of your skin, then this is going to be the primary reason why we get stretch marks. So you need to help as much as you possibly can. And that's why a disciplined approach, application approach every single day by bringing in things that you can apply topically will prevent stretch marks 100%.
Okay. The doctor's in the house, and I urge you, as I always do when we have the doctors offering up their time and their expertise, as well as the legalese folks, to say, don't wait until the last minute. Don't sit there listening to the conversation, trying to get context, and and then you send me the WhatsApp messages when she's leaving, because time really flies. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on in studio, and 0614104107. That is our WhatsApp line. We're going skin deep with Dr. Judy Pretorius today. So anything that you want to find out about your skin, where she can assist and help and give guidance, she will definitely do that. Let's also talk about things like, a lot of people, because it's summer now, a lot of people suffer from things like eczema, dermatitis, all these skin conditions that are seasonal. Well, I don't know. Are they seasonal?
Absolutely, it should be seasonal, and it shouldn't be a surprise to you now if you go on holiday, then you see some of your skin concerns actually go away. So the number one thing is pollution plays a huge role, and the best way for me to describe it are three components, three elements. We can be exposed to irritants, and we can be exposed to stimulants, and we can be exposed to allergens. So what's an allergen to me can be an irritant to you, and vice versa. But let's just describe it a little bit. I mean, now with the seasonal changes, there's pollen, there's dust, there's a decrease and an increase in humidity, for instance. Things like detergent, washing powders with our clothing can be different. Even our own sweat can be an irritant, because our human body, we don't only have the liver and the kidneys as detoxifying organs, but the human skin is also a detoxifying organ. So if we get rid of some of the bad toxins in our body and it lingers on the outer layer of our skin, that can be an irritant to our skin. Certain foods, for instance, obviously nuts and shellfish and these type of things can be a problem. And medication can also give some form of an expression like aspirins or even penicillins and so forth. So usually the expression will definitely take place on our skin. And don't forget, sun, just normal sun, can also create what we call a heat rash, or I like to refer heat shock syndrome, because it can be quite bad, and that's why we should try to do whatever we can to stay cool and try to wear clothing that keep our bodies cool and protect our skin at all times.
Yeah. As you talk about sort of that heat shock syndrome, I was in Bella Bella earlier on in the year, and it was 38 degrees. The sun felt like it was right here, just hanging on my shoulder. It was so excruciatingly hot. And I was having a conversation with one of the hotel managers who used to be in mining at the mine around the corner, had to stop because his skin literally broke out into blisters every single day when he'd go underground, because the heat was that intense.
Yeah, and that's why I say, can you see how the human skin talks? It's a diagnostic organ. It tells you immediately, listen, I'm not happy. And it can be happy even when it's too cold. I mean, think of one climbing Kilimanjaro right there at the top, and now you struggle with a frostbite, for instance. So the human skin talks, and then in extreme heat conditions, it struggles to breathe, because the human skin likes to breathe. There's a gas exchange that takes place. 5% CO2, 5% oxygen, and if that process is basically compromised and inhibited with either heat or wind, humidity, or whatever the case may be, then you'll definitely experience some form of a response by your skin.
Very interesting stuff indeed. I see your WhatsApps coming in. We're going to take a quick pause for the headline news, and then we'll come back on the other side and we'll address some of your skin concerns or your questions that you might have. It can be as deep as you want it to be. It can be as shallow as you want it to be. Hey, listen, if you're just trying to get Korean porcelain skin, because I know that's a big thing right now, the good doctor might be able to also steer you in the right direction. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on, and 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. She's just gone 1:30 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines, the Madlanga Commission, which is set to investigate criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system, has been postponed indefinitely. The Electoral Commission says local government elections will take place anytime between the 2nd of November 2026 and the end of January 2027. This was announced by the IEC's Chief Electoral Officer Simon Mabulu at a media briefing in Centurion today. And Stats SA has released the Victims of Crime report from the Governance, Public Safety and Justice Survey 2024-2025. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, the 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Bridget, the doctor and fellow SFM listeners, good afternoon. My name is Tulani Zima in Croydon. Three quick skin questions for me. One, what causes the underneath of your feet to have a silkish skin? Call it in patches. Then secondly, what causes on the foot, only one in winter, to become more like crocodile-ish, blackish, only a certain portion of it? And then lastly, blemishes only at the back. It's pimples, like then it bursts and then it becomes blemishes only at the back. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you to the lady in the studio regarding the skin problems. I can hear that you're speaking, you've just spoken about the elasticity of the body and and the stretch marks. But the case that I have is different. Almost 11 years now, married with my wife. Every night she cannot sleep without taking Allergex because her body itches. She's been to quite a number of doctors such that she lost hope. What is help that she can be able to get? Thank you.
Okay, all right. Listen, our WhatsApps are open. Get to the context of your skin problem quickly so that we can have time for the doctor to answer you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so when it comes to the feet, and look, there can be so many things that goes wrong with the feet. But some of the patches and so forth, especially if there are itchiness associated with this, and it spreads a little bit from time to time. Don't underestimate athlete's foot or like a fungal infection. Now, I'm not saying it can be that, but people underestimate how quickly we can get fungal infections from each other. We can get fungal infections from just sharing the same public restrooms, for instance, a towel, gym, for instance, showers, these type of things. So fungal infections is also not something that disappears. You can actually struggle with feet fungal infection for years because a fungus actually has a bit of a cell wall that is difficult to break. So even if we apply fungal ointments, for instance, that can even be frustrating because you apply it. It's like an over-the-counter type of product. You apply it every day, but you just don't get a breakthrough. And usually only after a month of use, people start to get a breakthrough when they have a fungal infection, either on their feet, or we even have, what we call a jock syndrome, jock's itch, in the inner thighs, under the arms, even on the abdomen, and even on our face, like a ringworm, for instance.
Yes.
So don't underestimate the fungal infections, but this is something that you have to treat every single day for at least a month. This is just me being realistic. At least a month. You can buy things like hypochlorous acid solutions as well that you can spray on that particular area and just continue to be as hygienic as you possibly can, because we get it from each other. Then we spoke about, pimples on the back, and a term that is typically known, and you said it, is back knee. And don't underestimate how many people struggle with it. And how many people struggle with it that do bodybuilding.
Really?
Because this whey protein that people like to drink, it's kind of a lactic derived protein, and that causes the sebum production on the body to increase, and then people get acne not only on the back but on the chest area as well. So what I like to recommend is usually when people go for chemical peels, professional chemical peels for the face, you can get a chemical peel for a body, like a body peel, for instance, that you can apply on the back, and that acidity of that body peel will actually decrease the sebum production, and eventually the acne just goes away. Or maybe just use less of that whey protein.
Yes.
Then the other gentleman asked about
his wife's
itchiness.
Yes.
And yes, this is unfortunate. Unfortunately, she is exposed to what we call an allergen or a stimulant or an irritant, like I've indicated before. And we don't necessarily know what that is. But I like to tell people, try to work on the rule of elimination. See what causes it. But he said she struggled for years and years and years. So the chances are very likely that her systemic immunity is going to be on the low side. And we like to tell people, it's a good idea for you to supplement with nutrition, but some of the supplements that we can buy is just too low in concentration. So you can spend a lot of money, but you don't really get that breakthrough, because the vitamin C is only 1,000 milligram, and maybe the zinc is only 500 milligrams for argument's sake, and the vitamin D is only 500 IUs. It's just not enough. And that's why we even get scripted nutritional supplements. And one of the things where I would start is a vitamin D scripted version. So instead of just using 1,000 IUs per day, let's go for 50,000 international units of vitamin D, a tablet that you can drink once per week, and then you'll see your overall immunity is going to start to increase, and it really works wonders for individuals who struggle with eczema, so atopic dermatitis and allergies. It really makes a difference. Not immediately, but around about 2 or 3 weeks after use, you'll start to see a difference.
Interesting. Let's try and sneak in some more WhatsApps before we wrap it up.
Hi, this is Bridget. Please ask the skin doctor there. I've been consulting, and my GP gave me this cream different at times. I think more than 3-4 times or 5, I don't know, but it's been a while. It's been like almost 2 years now. And my skin keeps giving me this rash, like allergy. I thought it's tin stuff, but I stopped eating that. But the doctor told me that it's not tin stuff. So it comes out like something like inflammation from within. So what can I use to get rid of that from within, not with the cream, like it clean the skin only, but inside it's still there, then it keeps coming back. Thank you, Gwen.
Good day, Seven Bloom. Just wanted to find out, I have vitiligo, the white skin patches. Is there any other treatment for it, or is not treatable? Because I've been using Prepotic ointment, I think it's 0.03%, and yeah, it seems to be keeping it at bay for now, but it becomes super itchy. Knowing where this usually grows, it's super itchy as well. So, and especially when it comes into direct contact with the sunlight, is there anything I can use other than the Prepotic ointment? Because it's super expensive for a small tube. It goes for about 600 and something bucks.
We are going to come back with some words of advice from the doctor before we wrap it up. Let's just take a quick break.
After a 1-0 loss against Arsenal in the opening match of the new season, the Red Devils are searching for a win at Old Trafford.
Mason Mount! Oh, what a finish from Mason Mount! Kills it home 2-1.
However, the Clarets are gunning for a crucial 3 points away from home.
Just from Brownell! We're all square! What a goal from Burnley!
This is the Premier League. Experience Manchester United versus Burnley FC on Saturday 30 August at 3:30 p.m. Live on SABC3 and SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Bafana Bafana will host Nigeria in a FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifier at the Toyota Stadium on Tuesday, 9 September at 6 p.m. Tickets are now available nationwide and online from 70 Rand for adults and 40 Rand for children at all Ticket Pro outlets, including Spar, Postnet, and all petrol stations. Get your tickets early to avoid disappointment. Come in Bafana Bafana supporter gear, ready to sing for a win. Gates will open at 3 p.m. If you are not in Bloemfontein, catch the game on SABC2. For more information, visit safa.net and at Bafana Bafana on all social media channels.
Early hours of the morning, our champions of democracy open voting stations for us. 55% of the 27.6 million registered voters are women. We salute your strength and leadership. Late into the night, they count votes for us. Majority of women voted in the last elections. We salute women championing democracy and shaping South Africa's future. Make your voice heard at the ballot. All roads lead to the 2026 local government elections. Register or update your details. Show up and let your vote count. Here's to Women's Month. Women champion democracy. Visit elections.org.za for more or call 0800 11 8000. This message is brought to you by the IEC.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Okay, let's recap on the two questions that we had before we went on the break. So the rash, top of skin rash that was inflamed because he was taking something. I didn't get what he was taking, Gwena. And then the skin vitiligo. Yes. Which is itchy and I guess gets irritable when it goes into sunlight.
Well, let's start with the rash. One of the things about human skin, any skin, is that some expressions can be completely misdiagnosed. And we mentioned earlier on fungal infection. So a patient will go to a doctor and describe their symptoms and say, listen, it's itchy, it's red and it's inflamed and so forth. And then it just looks like a bit of a atopic dermatitis, like a eczema or maybe an allergy or whatnot. But it's a fungal infection, most likely. And then if a cortisone type of ointment is prescribed and you apply it, then yes, it brings immediate relief to the skin. It takes away the itchiness, it takes away the rash, it takes away the redness and so forth. But usually after a while, when you stop an ointment like that, that rash comes back with an absolute vengeance. And that's indicative of a fact that it can be a fungal infection. Just be aware of that. Again, try to incorporate good hygiene, or try to get some of these over-the-counter topical ointment that is usually scripted for fungal infections like a fluconazole or whatever the case may be. Then it comes to vitiligo. Vitiligo is an autoimmune deficiency of skin, and there's no cure for it. However, repigmentation has been proven. But just a word of advice, some of us really struggle with pigmentation and then we buy products that helps us to prevent pigmentation, like products that contain vitamin C and vitamin B3 and ellagic acid, kojic acid, glutathione, these type of ingredients to treat pigmentation. So the first thing that you should do if you struggle with vitiligo is to avoid those products 100%, completely. We want to go right the opposite of avoiding any formation of pigmentation, because we'd like to repigment. So the ingredients of choice that we like to incorporate in our skincare routine are going to be powerful antioxidants such as vitamin E, for instance. Vitamin E, urea, peptides, growth factors. There's even something called a melanocyte growth factors that you can apply on the skin that will help you repigment. Now, vitiligo patients should definitely know one thing. There's a process called melanogenesis, or the lack of melanogenesis, hypo and hypermelanosis, in other words, the white patches.
Yeah.
That the moment that white patches comes into contact with some environmental extremity, and he said the sun, for instance, it can be pollution, it can be an allergen, it can be an irritant, or whatever the case may be, then we make the skin so much more vulnerable, and then the patches can start to spread and increase so much more. So there are things that we should avoid completely. Irritants, allergens, stimulants, sun, avoid it completely, and only expose yourself to high antioxidants as much as you possibly can. Vitamin E, for instance, makes a huge difference. Protect your skin. And oral vitamin D. I know I sound like a song that just plays over and over again, but vitamin D plays a huge role in skin immunity, and we need to have more of that.
Okay, I want to sneak in just one more voice note and one more question for the doctor as we wrap up the conversation.
Hi, this is Kamonje, and hi, doctor. I've got a problem here. I went for biopsy twice for dryness of skin, and they found that I've got no fungal, I've got no psoriasis, I've got nothing to do with anything, no allergy, nothing. But I've been treated for eczema for 6 years in hospitals. I still the problem persists. I want to know, doctor, what's the difference of a biopsy and a blood test? Must I do a blood test? Those for allergies, or biopsy was okay for me, and I must not proceed to go ahead with other things.
Okay, and
Hi,
then,
this is Kamon.
and then I want to quickly ask I showed you the picture of the lady who sent us this picture, who says she's struggling with a rash on her chin. There's blackheads coming out, and she's tried all the recommended face creams, but it's not going away. It's been 3 months now. You've got that time to answer, less than that time, 3 minutes.
Okay, so again, the human skin, diagnostic organ. So we most likely, if you do a biopsy, you'll be able to see exactly what type of deficiency you have. But on the other hand, blood tests, even urine tests, can actually also tell you quite a lot about the human skin. What is toxic in the human body? It's going to express on the skin. But a quick test that we do is what we call the transepidermal water loss, and he indicated that his skin is always dry. So the first thing that I will do is to measure his current transepidermal water content to see what it should be, and what it should be for the summer and what it should be for the winter typically. And if it's low, there are things that you can incorporate to increase or promote the skin's barrier to retain that moisture. And once you retain the moisture, that eczematic type of flare-up, will just completely stop. So that will help. And try to incorporate healthy concerns and so forth. With a lady, I had a look at a picture, and she typically had these fine bumps on the jawline. And it happens a lot with menopausal ladies. And I'm not saying she's menopausal, I'm just giving an indication. So if someone reaches their 50s and now they struggle with these kind of ingrown hairs and razor bump, I know it sounds ladies don't shave, but it looks like a bit of a razor bump. It's because when ladies go through menopause, they will either develop a fine facial fluff like a peach hair, a fuzzy hair, or they will develop a little bit of hair just growing out of the chin or the jawline and so forth. And some of this coarseness of the hair gets stuck, and we get elevated sebum production, and now we get blackheads and whiteheads and all of these type of things. And this is menopausal related, So again, change your skincare when you go through premenopause and during your menopause. Try to incorporate, cleansers that contain salicylic acid. Definitely high concentrations of vitamin B3 in your moisturizers or your serums, like niacinamide, zinc, for instance. Peptides and growth factors are very, very important when we go through menopause, because we can prevent acne, we can prevent pigmentation, and we can also prevent that our skin dries out completely.
You made it in the nick of time. I didn't even get to sneak in my own skin concerns as my hormones find a balance, but at least I have the doctor on speed dial. Dr. Judy, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. Hopefully, you got some great advice from the doctor. Of course, she did not make precise diagnosis for any of you because she has not consulted with you all. She's just giving you enough information for you to go be curious with your own doctors and go find out and ask questions with your doctors and your pharmacists, and hopefully find some resolution to some of your issues. She'll be back again in 2 weeks. Let's take a quick pause and then we'll come back on the other side.
From the brilliant buzz of Joburg to the beautiful beaches of the Eastern Cape, Fly Safe has you covered. That's right, from 1st November, we'll be flying from Lanseria Airport to both East London and PE, just in time for the holiday rush. Tickets are on sale now from only 770 Rand. So whether it's for work or play, plan your Eastern Cape escape from Lanseria or vice versa. Book now at flysafe.co.za. Fly Safe, for the love of fly. T's and C's apply.
This week on Off-Pitch Goals, Sonono and Sanela Khoza join us and take us through the storied success of the Zotwa Khoza Foundation. We talk legacy, community building, and youth career pathways. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 this Saturday, 30 August at 6:30 p.m. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Off-Pitch Goals, where we showcase how the stars score in business. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Do you know what's hiding behind colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front-of-package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front-of-package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org, by 30 September.
Oh, yes, right. Let's remind you about the millions, Mzansi. Get ready to Panda Pusher Play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 76 million Rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. That's right. You can play the Powerball for an estimated 31 million and Powerball Plus for an estimated 45 million today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older and play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit now, and we are talking to Leanne Kiza, and we are looking at a new children's book that helps young learners understand nutrition and gut health for better living. How are you doing this afternoon, Leanne?
Hello, Bridget. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for the time. I mean, let's jump straight into it because we're going to fast run out of it. So let's talk about good nutrition. And this is a foundation for effective learning. And it remains something very critical and central for children. But we know that it's also a problem in the country, right?
Absolutely. So, in South Africa, the nutrition status of our children is unfortunately looking like a very serious case. It's a very dire situation. So we have something which we call the double burden of disease, which is happening in nutrition, which means that on one hand, you can see undernutrition or malnutrition, and usually that shows up in the form of micronutrient deficiencies. So it's a deficiency of vitamin A, zinc, and iron. Those are the most important nutrients which we're deficient in. And this is a problem, of course, for children because vitamin A and zinc, these are critical nutrients to support your immunity as you're growing up and help to make sure that you stay well and that you avoid illness. And in the case of iron, that's an extremely important nutrient because this is one of the nutrients linked with cognitive development and the ability to learn. So on one hand, we're seeing this undernutrition, right, and malnutrition. And on the other hand, this increasing rise of overnutrition, which is your increase of overweight, obesity, and scary, even in children, chronic diseases of lifestyle like diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and so on. And so, you know, we need interventions to be able to work with children across South Africa to help them understand exactly what a good, healthy, balanced diet looks like so that we can eradicate this undernutrition and overnutrition, which is happening at the same time. And the beauty of it is that, you know, science shows that if you can teach a child a particular habit during childhood, they are likely to grow up with those good habits well into adulthood and for the rest of their lives.
And herein enters the storybook. This is a new children's book that's helping learners understand nutrition and gut health.
Yes, we are extremely excited about the storybook. So the book has been produced by Danone, the yogurt manufacturer in South Africa. And as a business, our mission is to serve health through foods to as many people as possible. And I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with our portfolio of products, but yogurt is our business. And, you know, our leading brand, South Africa's #1 yogurt, is a product called NutriDay.
Yes.
And so what we stand for as Danone is to make sure that in every product that we develop, we pay careful attention to the nutrition credentials of those products, making sure they can offer protein, they can offer calcium, making sure they can offer live cultures through fermentation, which is part of the yogurt business. And at the same time, we're controlling the negative nutrients of concern like sugar, saturated fat, sodium, and really those nutrients you want to keep as low as possible in your diet. But with that healthy portfolio, we are also committed to teaching people about how to make better healthy food choices. And so we've launched a campaign this year, which is called the Danone School Nutrition Roadshow. Basically, the roadshow is reaching 24,000 learners across Gauteng, where Danone is going to schools and we're bringing resources and education and fun, entertaining ways of helping children understand the basics of healthy eating. And part of that is that we've developed a curriculum-based storybook. And it's a storybook all about how to have a healthy, balanced diet. It also talks about the very first yogurt that was produced in the world and how that yogurt helped to improve the digestive health of children. And we use the storybook, which has been written by curriculum writers aligned with the CAPS curriculum of South Africa at an age-appropriate level with the right illustrations and the right terminology that is accessible for learners, to be able to enjoy this wonderful story about healthy eating and yogurt and how this can help your gut health and your general health overall.
I mean, in our last minute, as you said, important to catch them while they're still young. And also understanding that kids have a lot of influence in how moms shop. So a book like this, probably a great resource for children to get their hands on.
Well, it's absolutely true. We understand that children are really agents of change in their community. And we've done a lot of work with children over time, teaching them different life skills, things like recycling, healthy eating, and so on. And we really see that, you know, if a child brings a message home, they can easily influence the community around them. You know, if we engage one school, for example, we'll see before we know it that this school has shared their resources and books with the school down the road. And so this really good message starts to permeate and get through the community of people, all led by the agents of change, which are our young learners. We see, that they are really important little people to guide and educate correctly.
Absolutely. Leanne Kieser, that's all the time we have today. Leanne is a registered dietitian and the head of public affairs at Danone. And as you've heard, they've just launched this resource as part of the School Nutrition Roadshow to reach over 24,000 kids and helping them all really understand nutrition and gut health for the purposes of better learning and better development. It is 2 o'clock. It's time for us to catch up with the news with Ondela, and then we'll come back on the other side of 2 and we'll continue with our health and wellness conversations. We're looking at shedding some light on postpartum depression and how do we get over that hump.
Thank you, Bridget. On the top stories, Minister Kubai briefs media on the postponement on Madlanga Commission, and protesters in Israel demand the release of hostages in Gaza. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development Mamuloko Kubai is briefing the media on the indefinite postponement of the Madlanga Commission. The commission, which will be chaired by retired Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, was set to commence in Pretoria on the 1st of next month. The commission is set to investigate criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system. The commission had cited delays in the procurement of vital infrastructure from the Justice and Constitutional Development Department as its reason to not comment on time. The Electoral Commission says local government elections will take place any time between the 2nd of November 2026 and the end of January 2027. This was announced by the IEC's Chief Electoral Officer, Simon Mabolo, at a media briefing in Centurion today. Mamabolo says consultations between the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Velengosini Tlhabisa and the Commission have commenced.
The law provides that the term of a municipal council is 5 years, and that elections must be held no later than 90 days following the end of term. The current municipal councils were elected on 1 November 2021. This means that the current term will end on 2 November 2026. Therefore, the general elections of municipal council fall due between 2 November 2026 and the end of January 2027. The authority to set a date and call an election lies with the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs following consultation with the Commission.
The Victims of Crime report from the Governance, Public Safety and Justice Survey 2024-25 has revealed that during this period, over 1.5 million incidents of housebreaking occurred, affecting approximately 1.1 million households. The report released by Stats SA shows that a household crime is in the lead but has declined compared to the 2023-24 period. Briefing the media in Pretoria, Statistician General Rasenga Maluleke says household crime remains the least reported.
Murder, theft of motor vehicle and assault were the 3 household crimes most reported to the police. And of course, there were 3 most common reasons for not reporting house-breaking incidences or incidents to the police, where they were saying that police could not do anything or lack of proof, and indeed police would not do anything about it.
The ANC in the Northwest has removed 3 of its councillors at the Ramutsire Moilwa local municipality, including Itumeleng Morabi, who is currently fighting over the mayoral position with Dinah Pito. Morabi and Pito both regard themselves as mayors of the municipality. This comes amid tensions of ANC councillor factions at the Zeerust-based municipality that led to yesterday's shooting at the municipal building. The party's provincial secretary, Louis de Remelo, says vacancies have been declared and by-elections will be held at Ward 7 on the 15th of October.
Finally, the ANC have taken the drastic steps that they finally have to remove Mubara as a councillor. We removed Mubara as a councillor. We therefore removed the chief whip as a councillor. We have declared vacancies. We are going for by-election in Ward 7. After we have removed the chief whip called Beruwai there, we have also removed another councillor called Mosadi of Conduct and Becoming. We have removed them and we have subjected them to DC processes.
Supporters of hostages in Gaza have begun a day of national protest in Israel, demanding that those held captive are brought home. The protesters are demonstrating at road junctions across Israel, calling on U.S. President Donald Trump to help to finalize a Gaza ceasefire. The BBC's Yolandi Nell has the details.
They started off with an unfurling of a huge banner outside the U.S. Embassy branch in Tel Aviv. On the beach there, a huge Israeli flag with pictures of the 50 remaining hostages. And then during the morning commute, many people on their way to work would have had their cars held up, particularly around Tel Aviv on the main roads, protesters blocking the roads. Tens of thousands of people said to be taking part in different actions across the country, and they're expecting a big rally in Hostages Square in Tel Aviv later.
Recapping the top story, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mamuloko Kubai, is briefing the media on the indefinite postponement of the Madlanga Commission. I'm on Dilambana for SAFM News Headlines at 2:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
This week on FC Meets, Tisetso and Bandile sit down with Mamelodi Sundowns ladies dribbling wizard Lehlohonolo Mashego. Find out about her rise to the top of women's football on the African continent and what motivates her to aim even higher. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 this Saturday, 30 August at 6 p.m. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. FC Meets, football made for community by community. Rechencha Game, proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday the 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. SAFM celebrates its 89th birthday this month by giving listeners an exclusive opportunity to attend the prestigious Joy of Jazz taking place at the Sandton Convention Centre from the 26th to the 28th of September 2025. To stand a chance to win these sought-after tickets, simply SMS SAFM 89 followed by your name to 41391 and stay tuned to SAFM as we could be calling you. SAFM is the official media partner for the Dipala stage at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Entries open from the 7th of August and close on the 31st of August 2025. Winners will be randomly selected and called from the 1st of September 2025. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply. T's and C's apply. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
When the greats come together, it is the late Hugh Masigela, Jonas Ngwangwa, and Kaifa Semenya with Mamani. That is how we kick off this second hour of the show. Hope you enjoyed that, actually. Hope you enjoyed that indeed. We're going to get into our next health and wellness conversations now. We're having a conversation that's going to shed a little bit of light on postpartum depression and the path to healing. Let's get started on that.
SAFM Wellness Talk is brought to you by MedScheme, committed to pioneering inclusive, seamless, and quality healthcare for every South African.
All right, Kim Vermaak joins us now, author and speaker and paternal mental health advocate, specializing in helping people navigate the often overlooked journey of postpartum depression. How are you doing this afternoon, Kim?
I am very good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm great. Thank you so much for the time. Much appreciated. Let's firstly maybe get an understanding when we talk postpartum, because it's a term that gets used quite a bit. And I recently realized that actually we use it quite broadly as women, but it also speaks to a very specific time post-birth.
Yes, yes. So you get baby blues, which people are quite accustomed to, and sometimes we get confused between postpartum depression and the baby blues. So the baby blues is when your hormones take a dramatic shift after the baby's born, because if we remove the emotion out of it, we basically, our body's a little factory. So we've moved from the birth process and we're now moving into creating milk and doing all kinds of things. And that sudden shift in hormones actually makes us feel very low and sad, and sometimes we do feel a little bit depressed. But that window, that time period is normal, and it will last up to about 2 weeks. What happens is if that extends past that, you're still feeling like pretty desperate, you're still feeling anxious, you can't regulate your moods, and it starts continuing into months, then you have gone through the baby blues and you are now in postpartum depression. And postpartum depression could even continue for years. And that's where we have the confusion, is that time factor.
I see. Makes sense. I think the other thing is, before we even delve into, postpartum depression, I think the other, and I don't know, maybe my perception is also wrong, is that we as women are framing the postpartum conversation very differently, right? Because now we're almost using postpartum as a umbrella term to categorize all of you'll find women posting 8 months postpartum, 10 months postpartum. So it's becoming an umbrella term that's no longer honing in on postpartum depression.
Yes, yes. Well, it's kind of a difficult thing, because postpartum depression forms part of a greater depression syndrome. And that's where sometimes women have actually got an underlying depressive condition, which is triggered by the birth. So, for example, in my own case, I am an adopted person, and people who are adopted had a break in their bonding process, and so consequently they've got a higher risk profile for postpartum depression. So for me, I continued with my life. I was high functioning, that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, this trigger of the trauma of birth, and birth is kind of brutal if you think about it, So that can sometimes trigger past traumas. And that's something that we have to be very aware of in the space of mental health, is before you actually give birth, you have to assess what your risk profile is for depression. Have you had trauma? Was there sexual abuse? Was there financial hardship? Any kind of disruption? And I think in South Africa we've got a lot of those disruptors. And when you know about that, then the really important thing is setting up systems for yourself to say, listen, this is a potential risk. I don't want it to impact my baby. Let me have those kinds of systems and come clean and tell people, You know, I think there's a really good chance that I'm not perfectly ready for this. Do I have an auntie, a granny, a friend, a healthcare provider that will embrace the fact that I'm reaching out for help?
Yeah. I want us to just hit a quick pause here, Kim, for the ad break, and then we'll come back on the other side and continue our conversation around postpartum depression, particularly, and how we journey and find healing. Perhaps even just speak to some of the resources that are available for women. It's just gone 20 past 2 o'clock on The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga.
Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
They said women belong in the background, but we've always been the backbone. We drive economies. We innovate, care, build, and break barriers. We don't just raise families, we raise nations. But how do we build a thriving nation while violence still silences our voices? Erasing gender-based violence and femicide from our history isn't a dream. It's a decision, a shared one, a necessary one. This Women's Month, let's rise, not just in celebration, but in solidarity, because South Africa is strongest when every woman is safe. This message is brought to you by the GBVF Response Fund and proudly supported by the SABC.
Keeping your family healthy this winter can feel like a daunting task. Try the Lung Shield range. It includes capsules to support healthy lungs and immunity, a syrup for kids that supports the immune system and promotes lung health, and an effervescent with 13 essential ingredients to optimize immune function. Put your family's health first this winter with the Lung Shield range. Available without a prescription at leading pharmacies. Lung Shield, prescribed by doctors, recommended by pharmacists.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Kim Vermaak is joining us in conversation, author, speaker, and paternal mental health advocate, as we look at postpartum depression and how we find healing from it. 1 in 7 women and 1 in 9 men experience postnatal depression. Very interesting, the masculine data. I didn't realize that males could have postnatal depression. And how does it present, Kim?
Okay, so the big thing that we don't always think about is that men form an ecosystem with women. So their hormones respond to us and the birth. And it will actually, research shows us that when a man holds his baby for the very first time, his testosterone levels naturally drop. And that's basically a protection mechanism for the baby. Now, testosterone doesn't just give you muscles and make you fast and strong and that kind of thing. It serves several functions, and one of them is mental health. So when a man's testosterone levels are dropping, he doesn't always recognize it, and he doesn't quite feel himself. And then also, you know, one of the things that men tend to do is they find comfort in their partner's body. And now all of a sudden that sense of comfort has been removed, and, you know, then also the woman is expecting certain things from him, you know, to be a provider, to be strong, but he's in an unsettled space himself, and he doesn't always know how to articulate that. And so sometimes you'll see them withdrawing. They don't quite know how to deal with these moods that the woman is now presenting on herself. And the education side is incredibly important, because if men understand this, that not only are there going to be changes, but they might not be permanent, and there's going to be changes in them as well, then that means that it's kind of regulated, and they understand, they recognize, and they say, okay, so this is a passing thing. But when their moods begin to change quite a bit, and like any depression, when they start withdrawing from the things that they love, they're distant, you ask them to come out to do things that they normally would, and they're reluctant, then you might realize that the person is struggling with understanding all of these emotions in the new dynamic.
Very interesting. Honestly, I think I'm probably not the only woman that's never considered the male emotional journey. After pregnancy, during pregnancy, we kind of talk, and we've all had these dialogues. But after pregnancy, I think a lot of women, I stand to be corrected, probably don't consider what a male could be going through emotionally, psychologically as well in those moments, and the things that he could be struggling with. So it's a wonderful thing to keep in the back of our minds that men as well experience postnatal depression. This is something that women are only now, really in recent years, talking about quite openly, amongst ourselves and in our sister circles. We are now looking out for postpartum depression signs. And how does it present? Because there can be the extreme side of it, right? Where we've heard cases of moms really just doing themselves and their babies harm. But then there can be the other side of the spectrum where a person is struggling, but they almost put up a smile that says they mask it, like I can manage, but really it's a struggle, even on a day to day.
So there's a lot of shame that's involved. So even though there are people who do speak about it, and I always encourage open dialogue when I'm dealing with a mom, or I'm working on a corporate level, to just normalize some of these conversations. So we get what we call intrusive thoughts. And when I talk about it, when I talk about what my intrusive thoughts were, then people are like, oh, then they kind of feel like I'm okay. I'm not this evil person. So with me, I was a single mom when I went through postpartum depression, and the baby just wouldn't stop crying at all. It felt like I was never going to get any sleep, and I was an entrepreneur, so I had to put food on the table, and it was quite a new business. I mean, my business was only literally a few months old when I found out that I was pregnant, and it wasn't a planned pregnancy. And the one evening I woke up and I had this very clear visualization. Take the baby outside. I was staying in a garden cottage at the time. Take the baby outside, hold her under the water. She'll stop crying and you can go back to sleep. Wow. And I didn't have an emotional reaction to it, but there was a little intellectual part of my brain, and I've been to antenatal classes. There's a little part of my brain that said, is this a normal thought? I mean, should you actually be thinking this? And that was when I looked at my antenatal notes, I went through the checklist, I saw that there were a lot of the symptoms that I had, and then I said, for the love of this child, I need help, because I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. And I think that's a really important thing that parents need to know. When the intrusive thoughts come, thoughts do not equal your character.
Yeah.
So if you have a thought, it doesn't make you an evil person. It's a thought. Let it go. Pick up the phone. Ask for help.
And what does help look like for moms that are struggling with postpartum depression?
So there's a lot of things that you can do. So for argument's sake, SADC, which is the South African Anti-Anxiety and Depression Association, they have got a lot of free counseling. So you could actually phone their hotline, and someone generally will phone you. Well, they always do phone back. I mean, I tested it the other day, and they did phone back, which is very different to when I had my postnatal depression. I phoned a hotline. The first hotline told me that I should give the baby up for adoption, and the second hotline took 10 days to phone me back. It was terrible. But SADC is really, really good. So that they can offer you free counseling. The other thing is, if you belong to a faith-based community, reach out to struggling and speak to other moms as well. Maybe, there's a mom who might be a little bit further along the journey, and you can say, I just simply am not coping. Start speaking. Another thing that we very often overlook is being inside our bodies. So going for a walk with your baby in the sunshine. The sunshine is known to boost serotonin levels. But when you're depressed, all we want to do is just crawl under the duvet and disappear. So you've got to have a battle plan before you even fall pregnant. Not before you fall pregnant, before you have the baby. You need to have a battle plan and say, these are good mental health practices. Having someone to talk to, being outside, exercising, not chowing down on fast food all of the time. I almost said a name. I'm glad that I didn't.
Yeah.
but actually have nutritious meals. Another thing you can do is if you've got a parent or a grandparent or a friend, and just say, listen, I'm struggling even to feed myself because I'm just so exhausted, and ask them to make an extra portion of food which you can put into the freezer, that on those days that you feel, I just can't. I mean, I found myself sometimes finishing my baby's purity job because I was just too exhausted to cook. When you know, that's what I mean about setting up those systems ahead of time so that you've got some resources to help you.
It makes perfect sense. We have to wrap it there for the afternoon, Kim, but thank you for this illuminating conversation. That was Kim Vermaak, author, speaker, and paternal mental health advocate.
At MedScheme, we believe that quality healthcare should be within everyone's reach. That drives us to deliver smarter, more accessible health administration and managed care solutions that truly serve the unique needs of our medical aid scheme clients. Through data-driven tech, value-added product integration, and a strong focus on prevention, we're innovating a future of affordable, seamless, and agile healthcare for all. Learn more about South Africa's leading health administration and managed care provider at medscheme.com. SAFM Wellness Talk was proudly sponsored by MedScheme, creating a winning health offering through clinical innovation and trailblazing technology.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mamoloko Kubai, has suspended the Deputy Director General responsible for ICT pending a full investigation and a disciplinary process. The Electoral Commission says it is improving its processes to enhance voting efficiency during next year's local government elections. And Australia is expelling Iran's ambassador after accusing Tehran of orchestrating anti-Semitic attacks on Melbourne and Sydney. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Are we ready for a real conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 850-gram Parmalat pre-packed cheese for $119.99 and 250 megs free data on Spar Mobile, or 2 kg Tastic parboiled rice for $34.99 and 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million rand in instant cash. Price is valid until 7 September 2025 while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Dis-Chem's Beauty Fair is here. It's time to treat yourself at your fabulous fragrance destination. Big date coming up? Find a fragrance that makes it unforgettable. Crushing it in the boardroom. Make an impression before you even speak. From fresh and floral to bold and unforgettable, get your perfect fragrance match at Dis-Chem's Beauty Fair. Don't miss out. Deals end 14 September.
Let's rewind 6 years, when Twitter was still Twitter, not a letter of the alphabet. TikTok was simply the sound your clock made. And Zoom just meant enlarging a picture. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
The Atlas Lions believe their plan to graduate to the final will succeed. But the Teranga Lions believe Lions from the West will undoubtedly roar and triumph. This is the semi-final clash of the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Morocco versus Senegal. This Tuesday, 26 August at 7:30 p.m. Live everywhere, for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello, friends, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Kids Corner. I hope you're feeling excited and ready to share your thoughts today. Let's talk about school trips and camps. Have you ever been on one before? What was your favorite part about it? Would you rather go on a one-day school trip or spend a few days at camp? What's something new you learned or discovered during a trip or camp? What kind of rules do you think should be in place when kids like you go on these adventures? And here's a fun thought. If you could design your own school trip or camp, where would it be and what activities would you include? All right, let's hear from some of our friends while you share your answers with the people next to you.
Hello, my name is Malintle Mngomezulu. Yes, I have been on a school trip and a camp. My favorite part about it was having fun with my friends. I would rather spend a few days at camp than go on a school trip. I prefer this because I would get more time from school and get to hang out and have fun with my friends. Something that I have discovered is to acknowledge the beautiful nature that we all have around us. Rules that should be put in a place include being responsible for your own belongings. If I could design my own school trip or camp, I would go overseas and explore different places for adventure and for knowledge.
Hello, my name is Ndamedere Matangwe and I'm 11 years old. Yes, I went on a school trip before. My favorite part was being with my friends and learning outside the classroom. I would like to go on a camp because it's longer and more fun. On trips, I discover new places and things I never knew. Rules should be about safety, respect, and listening to teachers. If I made my own camp, it would have games, hiking, and campfires. I would also add swimming and storytelling. That way, everyone can enjoy and learn at the same time.
Yes, I have been on a school trip. My favorite part was playing with my friends. I would rather go on a camp for a few days because we can do more fun things. I learned new facts about animals when we went to the zoo. Rules should be listen to teachers, stay with the group, and be kind. If I could design a trip, I would go to the beach and have swimming, games, and building sandcastles.
Hi everyone, my name is Lorraine and thank you so much for listening to me today. Yes, I have been on a school trip and I went to KwaZulu-Natal for it for a whole week. What my favorite part about this camp was the fact that I actually went to go see the beach and to go to the ocean and get into the water. What I would say is I'd rather spend a few days on the trip rather than to go one day because I just want to enjoy the experience of being there. One thing I discovered on that trip is that KwaZulu-Natal is actually a pretty beautiful place and so is the sea as well. The rules that they should put when you're going on trips like the one I went to for KwaZulu-Natal is that no one should be separated from anyone else and you always have to check if everyone is there to check so that you don't leave anyone behind. If I could design my own school trip, I would probably take people overseas and we would do a lot of activities like get coffee, just do a lot of activities which I think is fun. Thank you so much for listening to me and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Hello guys, my name is Prophet King David Ikena Eze and I'm 11 years old. I have been in a school trip but never in a camp. The favorite part of my school trip was when the giraffe kept on following the bus and we were leaving the zoo just because I fed it leaves and I rode on top of its back. I don't know how the back was so strong like that, but all I knew is that the giraffe was not a fully grown giraffe. I could see even. I would rather go on a one-day school trip than to spend days at camp. Like, what if you go to a place, a swampish place, and then a beastly creature captures all of us and ties us into ropes? The thing that I learned on that school trip is that giraffes are very kind. If I were to organize a school trip or a camp trip, the rules are stated, especially for kids, that you're not allowed to go to wild animals except without supervision. If I were to design my own school trip or camp trip, to be in the zoo, you know why? Because I want to be looking at the lions in the cage while asking my fellow learners questions to give to the children to be answering for a fun game. Thank you.
Yes, our school does take trips or school camps. Yes, I have been on a trip and we went to Crocodile City. School trips are very exciting and you get to learn more from those school trips. I think they are necessary because we could learn more from those trips and see more from those trips. What I got from the last trip we went to is not to be afraid of heights. I would choose a water park because we would stay longer and have a lot of fun.
Hello, my name is Monet Angel Ngobera. Yes, sometimes my school does take school trips or camps for the prefects. I have been to one and we went to Polokwane. What I do think of school trips is that school trips are actually fun and they teach you more about what you don't really know about the place. I do think that they are important, but not that important because they don't really do a lot of things, and some children you may find out that they don't really like school trips, and so some of them like and some of them don't, but then they do help us to know more. And the last school trip that I took, what I did benefit from it was a lot of stuff about grasslands and things like that. If I had to choose a place to go for a school trip or camp, I would choose to go to Durban because I've never been there and I would like to see the whole of Durban and explore new things. Thank you and have a lovely day.
Thank you, friends. It's always great to hear from you. Today, let's dive into something many of you look forward to: school trips and camps. These special adventures are more than just time away from the classroom. They're about learning, exploring, and building memories with your friends. A one-day trip can be filled with excitement, like visiting a zoo, a museum, an amusement park, or even a historical site. On the other hand, camps let you spend a few days away, enjoying nature, sitting around the campfire, playing group games, and discovering new skills. Both experiences help you grow and see the world in new ways. When we think about trips and camps, the best part is often the memories we make. It could be laughing on the bus with friends, learning something new from a tour guide, singing songs under the stars, or even challenging yourself with something you've never tried before. These are the moments you'll talk about for years to come. And of course, every adventure comes with important rules to keep us safe and happy. Always stay with your group or your buddy system. Listen carefully to your teachers or camp leaders. Respect nature, the places you visit, and other people around you. Here are a few safety tips to remember for trips and camps. Carry a water bottle to stay hydrated. Wear comfortable shoes and weather-appropriate clothing. Don't wander off alone. Always tell an adult where you are. You might need to help set up your own tent, cook with friends, or share duties like cleaning up. These little lessons help us learn responsibility while having fun. And let's imagine for a moment, if you could design your own school trip or camp, what would it look like? Maybe an animal safari, a beach exploration, a space and science camp, where you learn traditional dances, try new foods, and explore history. Activities could include treasure hunts, storytelling nights, stargazing, or even a talent show with all your friends. School trips and camps aren't just a break from school. They are journeys that open your mind, strengthen friendships, and give you lessons you'll carry forever. Pack your curiosity, your kindness, and your courage, and every adventure will be unforgettable. That's it for today, friends. See you next time.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
It is time to experience spectacular football talent from 19 African nations. East Africa is on full vibration. From Tanzania, Kenya to Uganda, the pitch personnel are hungry for continental glory. This is the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Witness Chan 2024 on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 from 2 to 30 August 2025. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Well, let me put this to you. What for you are the big takeouts of that significant White House meeting?
The significance was that the European leaders finally realized what is at stake. I mean, of course, this realization has been dawning gradually, but I think the fact that you had this roster of who is who in Europe coming to that meeting it shows that they're very concerned that Donald Trump would be yielding to Vladimir Putin's demands at the expense of Ukraine's long-term, not just security, we're talking about its very sovereignty.
Peter Zalmayev, the director of the Eurasia Democracy Initiative.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM. Find the podcast at safm.co.za. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
All right, well, we're still keeping on the health and wellness theme. We are joined now for our final conversation by Dr. Tracy Nelwamunda, who is an obesity clinic. Well, she runs an obesity clinic in Parkhurst, and she focuses a lot on obesity, physical health, and we talk obesity like it's a thing. Like it's something we should not be concerned about. But recent data actually shows that South Africa has some of the highest obesity rates in sub-Saharan Africa, which should be a concern. How are you doing this afternoon, Dr. Tracy?
Good afternoon, Bridget. How are you? I'm good.
I'm good. They've got my blood pressure going about voting that side, but let's focus on obesity. So we are amongst the highest rated now in sub-Saharan Africa.
That's an alarming statistic, but also it's one that's sad because I don't think that in our country the conversations have started. I'm glad that we are having this conversation because it means that something is starting, and then this is us doing something about the statistic as well.
Yeah. I mean, before it used to be that obesity was associated with first world countries' health and wealth and abundance and all that. But now we're seeing it more and more in middle income and developing countries.
It's actually quite interesting because we have now the double burden. We still have people, or children mostly, living in malnutrition. And you might actually even find in the same household children with malnutrition, mom and dad, or parents with obesity. It's complex. We're actually the fourth most obese country living with obesity in the world. So it's a statistic that is very complex to us, very complex to many nations as well. I think that ours is complex because even talking about it, because what is an obese person in Zulu? How do you define that? Because I think we still need to have conversations.
We don't have the language.
Obesity. It's just it's fresh.
Yes.
So what do you mean obesity?
And also interesting when you say that, we see like what is obesity in any vernacular. It's from an African context, and South Africa being one of those countries. I mean, I know we're not all homogenous on the continent, but South Africa being one of those countries where we almost celebrate a fuller figure, like it's part of quote unquote our culture, social culture. We like a full frame.
She's well fed.
She's well fed. Yes.
And the husband is doing well. Yeah. The husband is doing well.
You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
So then how do we, let's backtrack. Because then that speaks to how do we define obesity on the one hand? And what speaks to what is obese? You know, because a lot of times you talk to people that you would see as being overweight and they'll go, but I'm healthy.
True. True. So I'm going to put on my doctor's hat and also just my South African girl hat and try to find an answer that actually comes together. Right?
Yeah.
So obesity is now defined as a chronic medical condition. So that's what it is. It is a true medical condition. I need to get out of the way. It is a true medical condition. It's a true medical condition because it affects body systems.
Yeah.
It also presents itself with signs and symptoms, and also it leads to complications. So that's definitely the definition of a chronic medical condition. So we understand that. We're putting that out of the way. But in the same breath, when you say obesity, it's not well defined in our cultural circumstance, as we've been saying now. But at the same time, it's something that as a medical profession, we haven't really been addressing as we should. A patient would actually be standing in front of us and we just say to them, Mama, you're big. You're big. She just thinks I'm healthy. And as I was saying to you, I'm well fed.
Yes.
My husband is doing well. So we need to now start the conversations, and I'm glad that we are actually, again, doing this because it actually opens it up now for our society, our communities to also start the conversation. And I hope our listeners are also just going to take this, go have the conversations with their colleagues, with their family, with their children as well.
Because, and that's the thing, and we don't have these conversations in judgment. We're just having these conversations for the sake of us all being better informed.
I love that.
It's often worrying though when you have even in a social setting where amongst friends and you have health conversations and when you touch on someone's weight, and yes, it's a sensitive and personal thing, it's often met with that defense mechanism.
Correct.
The first response is, but I'm healthy. And then you almost want to rebut and go, but are you sure that you are healthy?
Are you healthy? Yes. Are you healthy? Maybe perhaps the conversation should not be like I always, whenever we talk about like people talking about other people's weights. My distant memory was, I think, just after giving birth, I had one of the people come up to me, and she was very far from me. She actually screamed, "Oh my gosh, you have gained so much weight!" So I don't think that maybe perhaps that approach is kind. Most people will be defensive because even though you are telling me that I'm overweight, I know it. I know it. It's not, I realized it when I was getting out of bed.
Yes.
When I couldn't get out of bed.
Yes.
I felt it. So do you need to actually say it out loud to me? And also, when it comes to my health, why don't you do the same thing about other conditions as well? The most stigmatized condition being HIV.
Yes.
Do we do the same thing?
No, we don't.
So are we saying because obesity is something that physically you can observe as the other person, you have the right to actually come out to me and have a conversation like that? Is it open for conversation? Do you not know that maybe I am seeking medical health?
Yes.
I am on treatment. And I just, at this moment, just don't want to talk about it. So maybe perhaps proceed with caution. It should be a conversation, not a light conversation where we're accusing people, because it could be quite accusatory.
Yes.
Because are you calling me fat?
Yes.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
So it's quite a proceed with caution. Maybe perhaps if I open it up to you, you can just go for it. But maybe perhaps before I do that, can you give me a chance to at least like get into the room? Without you actually, talking about my weight.
Being the first thing that you point out.
That's it.
Now, how do we make sure, because then it becomes almost generational, right? If we don't have the healthy habits, if the healthy lifestyle, then it becomes almost generational. How do we begin to sort of be conscious of that? Because child obesity is also a thing. It's a real thing.
True.
It's not just baby chunky fat.
True.
It's a real thing.
Dangerous to health.
Yeah.
So maybe perhaps the foundations of any healthy lifestyle, which is eating better. I'm going to call it better because there's no eating right. Eating better. If you solidify that, And we all know, actually, the vegetables, making them appropriate as well to your current society, and availability of food, access to food, affordability as well. Because let's not be naive. As much as we all should be eating healthy is expensive.
Yeah.
So let's not be naive of that. So I don't use the word healthy loosely. I'm very careful on that. I always say according to your context, what could be better eating. So putting in more vegetables, more fiber, more protein in there in your context, right? Finding that information, moving more in our bodies as well. So this, I'm talking about the things that parents could maybe do. And then what, as a doctor, there's no way I could not mention medications. So that's always the foundation for me, making sure that we get the eating, the movement as the foundations, and then behaviors, because we know people want change. We know it. We know people don't feel comfortable in those bodies. And then now opening the conversation of medications. Different options exist. So what a time to be alive now that we have options.
Yeah.
According to your price, of course, but just reaching out for the options after solidifying your habits and your lifestyle changes.
And I think that's where a lot of us struggle, right? Is the habits and the lifestyle change, because how do you also teach your children to do better if you yourself as a parent are not going to be consistent?
True.
Because you're the one that's cooking, you're the one that's buying the groceries.
True.
You're the one that's on a Saturday and a Sunday are not putting on your sneakers and saying, let's go for a walk.
True. So I always say, like, can I feed my kids broccoli at home and then go past the KFC drive-through, eat everything and just trash everything, right? So I think, Bridget, we should actually realize that as much as we don't want to believe it, people do have a brief understanding of what healthy eating should look like, right? But at the same time, we should not... we are working parents, mothers and fathers. We have affordability, accessibility issues as well. So as much as we are actually going to be talking about food, so for me, it's all about convenience. Like if it takes an hour to prepare as a part of dinner, give me zero. Like, no, I can't. I just don't have the capacity. I'd love to, but I don't have the capacity. So maybe perhaps just getting to a point where you get into a routine of, it's good to teach your children to eat better, to pack a better scarf-tin or lunchbox, right? Because that's also where it starts as well. Schools are really trying. I know in my children's school they're actually really trying as well with like the physics that we pack and the kind of food. That's sort of like policing that. I don't know if
a lot of schools
they're trying
that,
like you're not bring the amount of sugar we bring to schools as well. So schools are trying. They're meeting us halfway. We are also trying at home. Our kids are doing sports as well. Maybe, not all of them.
Yes.
But also realizing that we all need to start somewhere. It's not all of us going to start running marathons, but maybe perhaps starting in terms of movement, putting on your shoes and let's go outside. Not even outside to do anything, but let's go outside.
Yeah.
The home, if you have the ability, of course. So it's not just about the let's all sign up for a gym. As far as what are you able to access?
Yeah.
Just do it. I always say to my patients, what's your lowest hanging fruit when it comes to movement? What's your lowest hanging fruit when it comes to eating better? Let's pick that first. And once we've got that, then we can build onto those habits and make things better.
And I think what you touch on there as well in our final moments is the socio-economic drivers to obesity. Because those are actual real factors.
True. True. They're real factors and they're different from person to person. And what's actually quite interesting, and you mentioned it as well, the obesity is not only a problem of people who in the low LSM. It's actually across board. It spares nobody. So it actually just shows you that we are all affecting, whether you are privileged or overprivileged, and is there ever a thing as overprivileged? I don't know. Whether you have the privilege or you're underprivileged, there is going to be a challenge when it comes to moving your body, eating better, having better behaviors, having less stress, sleeping better, because those are other things that I also think we should talk about. We're not sleeping as a society. We are not, our stress levels are also high as a society as well.
No, that's so true. In our final minute, there's been a big drive, even on this show, around issues like sugar tax and proper labeling on food. Would that shift the needle in as far as obesity conversations and the obesity outlooks are concerned?
Of course, it would definitely. It would, and we have made some progress as a country in terms of those elements as well. It does help, but also for me, as a doctor, I always will need to encourage people that as much as all those initiatives are coming, conversations like this need to also come in, where people are encouraged to seek medical care. For a doctor to actually have a conversation with you if you are living with the condition of overweight and obesity. So it's not about reaching for the next diet. Gone are those times. I think we're living in a time where we all are in a space where there's options. So diet is not your only option if you are living with the condition of overweight and obesity. We have medical options, medical treatments that exist, and we need to reach out for them if we can.
Well, listen, that's all the time, but it was an introductory conversation. That was Dr. Tracy joining us today, and she runs an obesity clinic out in Parkhurst. You can definitely reach out to her if you're in the vicinity and you have the means to, and see where do you lie. BMI and all these things. I don't know, it gets very technical, but it's a conversation worth having. That's where we got to leave it. Ashraf is coming through 3 until 6 o'clock on the National Pulse. We'll see you tomorrow. Inshallah, God willing, we do it again. Thank you, Bridget. And the team on the top stories: ICT DDG suspended pending investigation, and Australia expels Iran ambassador. For SFM News, I am Ondilambana, and a very good day. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mamuloko Kubai, has suspended the Deputy Director General responsible for ICT pending a full investigation and a disciplinary process. Kubai said